Okay, Doug, Richard, I'm trying to make this short, but there's a lot of information. You see this piece right here? This piece right here goes right here. This one was on there. With this choke, in the same position that showed up in your video, this was allowing the carburetor to be choked like that because of that slot in there. This one here has a small, no slot. It has a hole, but you have, see this? You have slop in that linkage. So in the position that you had it in, this carburetor was running choked, which we suspected. Which, if you notice in our original test video, when I put my finger over that, the thing would run. So what you were doing, you were running it. However, that angle fitting that was in the front, when we shipped it, it was turned this way. When you turned it that way, there was a restriction in there, which was not your fault, but when you tipped it that way, it shut the fuel off to where you was only getting about 15% of the fuel. Now, we're going to run it through some tests. We're going to put it up at about 3,000. We'll run it for at least as long as you did. Then we're going to put a load on with the dyno over here, and we'll start adding a load to the motor, which will be the equivalent to taking it all the way up, which with the load will be equivalent to a maximum load up there sitting on the line. I don't know if you race that car or not, but anyway, it would be the equivalent as sitting up there with the trans brake on. And then the torque converter bumping up against it. And then we're going to be measuring at the same time the foot-pounds of torque it puts out and so forth. But anyway, the bottom line is, when you put this on there, you need to make sure that that choke is going all the way out, because the way it was before, even though it was in the choke position with all this slop that was in it, this thing was still letting that choke set about like that with that slop right there. So we're going to send that back to you. I will have to hold this open with my finger during all this testing because it will automatically go closed by itself. So I'm going to put it up here. See it? See, it's going shut by itself. You have to hold it. See, just the slop in that mechanism from there to there, and you add on to the slop in that slot. We suspected that right off the bat. But anyway, here's what's going to go on now. I'm going to have to hold that choke open. There is longer than you ever ran it at on that video. Okay, I'm going to have my helper, which happens to be my granddaughter, put that in gear back there, because if I let go of this, it'll start choking again. Okay, now here comes the load. And of course, we're watching the mixture, we're watching the meter over here on the foot-pounds. Now right there, that would be, I can't, it's going to go up anymore to stall the motor out. I'm doing 3,000 RPM with a full load. That's about 4,500 equivalent. And it's putting out about 300 foot-pounds equivalent. So, basically what all that boils down to, that load on there would be equivalent to having that thing wide open with sitting up there with I'm not going to explain all that to you again, you understand it. Anyway, it's not like sitting there free revving it. Putting that load on there is putting a demand in that carburetor. And by the way, don't be putting anything on here. That's a vent. You want to put a little hose on there, a little something go down to the ground, but you put nothing. It's supposed to go to a charcoal canister. If you want to run it to a little charcoal canister, or you want to run it someplace, but do not plug that off. Because if I show you what would happen, it gets radical readings and stuff in the mixture when you plug that off. That is a vent that's got to be vented. I'm not going to go through all that stuff to do. blah, 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 blah to demonstrate all that. But anyway, there's your little deal. You know, you can see, I'm not going to tell you all that again. You're not that dumb. But I'm going to send you all these little bitty parts. And see, the reason why we didn't have any problem when we shipped it out, because we didn't have that. It was probably, no, the dumb thing's stuck. This is really a, well, I'm not going to criticize your deal here, but, you know, you really don't, I'm just going to shut up. But when we shipped it out, it probably had electric choke on it, so you weren't getting that situation. You were getting the choke long enough for the thing to start, then it would be okay. Anyway, we like you. You have a Merry Christmas, no charge.